Okay. Hi there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us from. Welcome to Open Source Friday, a GitHub sponsored show that we do every Friday to celebrate the maintainers, the contributors, and the open source projects that are making all of our lives so much easier. I'm Andrea Griffiths, a La Colombia dev in all the places, and it's my absolute privilege to be here today. I think is today our first Open Source Friday of Black History Month? Maybe. It might be, or maybe it was last week. In any case, happy February. You made it. Welcome to Open Source Friday. I'm super excited today. We have a very special guest, special in multiple ways. First of all, she is a well known and beloved community person who always is sharing her knowledge, which is amazing. Also, a GitHub star. Shout out to the GitHub stars and the GitHub star program. So obviously you're here because of her. So it's gonna be Monica Powell. Monica, it's in Twitter at in digital color. I will share links to all of her socials throughout the show. So go ahead and give Monica a follow so that you can learn from her, whether you are in React or any of the technologies. She's just an all around awesome person. She's a software engineer, passionate about open source, passionate about making open source more approachable. She's been building community around the technologies that she enjoys, which are React, JavaScript, Jamstack, JavaScript APIs and markup, and GraphQL. GitHub started for 4 years now. And she is interested in the React ecosystem and is the leader and founder of React Robins, which is a community for women and non binary React developers. Monica, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. So excited that you were able to join today. And you're going to be sharing with us a project that you have some history with, and one that is actually, I've heard them mentioned before, but I haven't really dug much deep into it. When I started, after I saw your information, I was like, this looks pretty awesome. It reminded me of
Yeah.
something that um, my kids watch for educational purposes. That's like super fun and makes it like really
hmm
accessible. So I was so happy that you wanted to come in and share about, and it's the coding train. That's the
Yeah.
name, right?
hmm
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So would you mind sharing a little bit about when did you first get started with this program? How did you learn about it? And then if there are links or you want to take us through kind of like a tour of how people can get involved or how people can learn, like just let me know when I need to share your screen.
Awesome. So the Coding Train is an educational resource or community for folks who are interested in creative coding. Specifically, it focuses on teaching different concepts with the processing language and with P5.js, which is JavaScript based. And I first became I guess loosely in the Coding Train community a while ago. So this project started by Dan Schiffman in 2015. He started posting videos on YouTube under the Coding Train, and so I know when I was learning processing in college, I had the opportunity to watch some videos from him where he broke down the different concepts. And then more recently, I've been interested in learning P5.js. Like outside of work, I do a lot of React development, and I was looking to become more like creative in terms of like visually creating things with code. So I started learning P5.js a lot more over the past like year and a half, and I ended up stumbling across the Coding Train again recently because he has videos that cover a lot of different concepts within creative coding. Just recently, there was January. I had shared a link with you, Andrea, of January, which is like a month long coding challenge in January, where every single day there's a different art prompt where you create something with code, and the prompts are designed to be very broad. And some of them, there may be like some mathematical concepts or some specific uh, creative coding concepts to be familiar with, and I would say most of them they were covered like on the Coding Train YouTube channel. And then in addition to the YouTube channel, there is also a website called the Coding Train and .com, and that is open source. It's a Gatsby project. So that's what I wanted to talk about, how folks can contribute, whether they know Gatsby, or if they're not as familiar with like React, there's still opportunities to contribute to the website in terms of sharing projects that you've created that are based off of the tutorials. So that's something that I wanted to definitely go over today. So folks can feel confident that if they are learning creative coding, that there are also opportunities as they're learning, they can share what they've learned with other people and be involved in this community.
I love this. Now, for those of us who are not very familiar with the concept of creative coding, could you like kind of TLDR it?
Yes, let me see if I can share my screen
Yay,
maybe.
thank you.
Let's see.
Thank you. While you get the screen sorted, folks, today we're actually going to do a little raffle at the end. So I've shared the link for you to just join in. All I need is your GitHub username and you can win something fun at the end of the stream. Perfect. We got your screen
Okay.
now.
Yeah, so creative coding is, I would just say, like creating art with code. So creating different types of graphics. There's a lot of different art styles that you can find within creative coding. Some of like the creative coding things that I've created, I've shared on CodePen. So like this like Tetrisy looking image I created with a library called SVG.js. So these are all different SVGs, and when you let me, I guess, just go to it. Like if you actually go to this piece, you can see like if I click on it, it will regenerate, and every single time you visit the page, it regenerates the image. So a lot of things within creative coding could be like every single time you visit the or run the program, it has a different output. And then there's also some that are more, I guess, predetermined. So I have like this animation I had made a while ago of this bear in the water, and so every single time you visit this, it kind of goes through the same like sequence. So that's like another type of creative coding. Um, yeah, but I think there's just like a lot of variety in terms of what you can create, whether it's like more abstract or kind of animating things.
I love this. So do I need to be like a designer type person to start playing with
No,
creative coding?
definitely. You don't. I think that's like the fun thing. Like, so you don't have to know like how to use the SVG or anything. That's just like one way that you can approach creative coding. But there's also opportunities if you don't have that background. Something that I did like or do like about the P5 library is that they do encourage kind of having like people from all types of backgrounds. So not just like software developers or artists, but also educators and other folks that are interested in using the library to create things.
That is amazing. That is so cool. Okay, so this is your code pen, right? And I've shared the link
Yes,
to the code pen. So if
thank you.
folks, if you want to take a look at the things that Monica's created, that will be a spot to check it out. Um, and thank you everyone who's joining us again. Welcome, welcome, wherever you're joining us from. So, okay, so tell me a little bit about what else am I looking at here? Like, let's continue the
Oh, yes.
tour. Thank you.
Yeah, so I had mentioned January earlier where there's like all these different prompts. So I did have a collection that I created on CodePen where you could see some of the different prompts that I created during January and like see the code behind it. So I would encourage folks if they are interested in like specifically seeing like more P5.js examples. Most of the ones that I created during January were in P5. I know I still have a few more that I need to add. But that is something that people may also be interested in. Like either like looking at my most recent work would be part of January or going specifically to that collection.
I love it. It's beautiful. Thank you so much for getting some comments
Thank
and
you.
from the audience. Thank you so much for being here and thank you for commenting. So in January, it's now obviously it's over. Is that every year they
Yes.
do this
Yes.
initiative? Okay.
Yeah. So it has been going on for the past few years. In January, I did like a good chunk of the prompts, but there's definitely some I like want to revisit through the year. I definitely would encourage folks if they are like getting started with creative coding and are looking for ideas of things to create, to still reference the prompts either from like this year or from previous years. The official like everyone posting every day did end on January 31st. But I definitely think that there's a lot of like great value in the prompts and the ideas that were sparked from January.
I love this. I love this. Okay, folks. Well, so if this is something that calls to you, just because January is over, doesn't mean that you can't get started. So, talk to me a little bit about how the coding trend ties into this. Then,
Yes. So the coding train, like I had mentioned before, is a YouTube channel run by Dan Schiffman, and so he has coding tutorials on so many different creative coding concepts. If you want to if you have like one of those Nokia cell phones with like the snake game, he has a video on like how you create the snake game. There's another video about like creating like this star field animation. There's just a bunch of different concepts that he'll cover on his videos. And like there's some math involved. It doesn't have to be like you don't have to be a mathematician, but he'll walk through explaining the math behind some different like animations that you can create. So I would definitely recommend like diving into that. But then, like I mentioned earlier, there is also this website associated with the coding train, and it gives you kind of a guide based off of where you are. If you're just getting started, you should get started with a "Don't know where to start" section, maybe. If you know what you're looking for, then you may want to go to like a specific track. And like I said, all of this website is an open source Gatsby site, so you can contribute directly to this website. If you want to just see these things in a different form, you can look at it on GitHub. And a lot of these will connect directly to the resources on YouTube. So you can see here, this is videos on the beginner's guide to machine learning with ML5JS. And it has different references that are related to the video. There's other videos as well that may be helpful. You can see credits in terms of who was involved in the process of this. And so there's pages on this website that go over like a lot of the video content that I was showing you before.
that is so cool. And so, all right, I love the aesthetic of it. Like, it looks so appealing. That's amazing. So, is the coding train is the channel, but it's enough. There is also a website, right? Is there a community that, like, where can
Yeah.
I, if I'm interested in learning
Mhm.
any of these concepts, like, can I be supported by the community anywhere?
Yeah, so there is a Discord community, so you could chat with other folks within the coding train. And then I guess also like if you are watching their videos on YouTube, engaging with them. There's also they're on GitHub, obviously. So you can follow them on GitHub as well as contribute to the different projects. So today I wanted to specifically focus on the codingtrain.com project. And what happens if I click this? Yeah, so if you go on their website, there is an opportunity for you to directly join the Coding Train server on Discord. And another way, like the community is highlighted, is the showcase. So that's where you can contribute things that you've created based off of the different tutorials. So I think I might be on here somewhere. Am I? There's a lot of contributions.
That is so
Um,
cool. And so this is
so
just
this is
community stuff, right? These are all things that people have built.
these are all things that people have built. So I did want to go over the process if someone is interested in contributing something, like what that process would look like. So 1 second. Okay, so for example, there's this polar noise loops challenge that Dan had posted on YouTube. And so this video, it goes through like how you can create this Perlin noise loop animation that's like almost a circle, but it has like these irregular details. And so he goes over all the like the math behind that, the sine and the cosine. And then folks contribute like their take on this video. So uh, the I guess core concepts are all the same, but then everyone contributes something different. So like this is an example that I had contributed this animated uh, geode, and like there's somebody else who created this one that looks like a tree trunk. And then I had also contributed like a second one that's like a different style than the first one. And then whenever you click on these, you can go to directly wherever the person is hosting the code or the example. So some people share the code and some people don't. When I've contributed, I have included a link to the code pen so people can see the actual like what it actually looks like running. But then they can also see the source code. Some people will share like a GitHub gist so that people can see the code behind their projects. And yeah, so here I just have a like a comment at the top. So if other people find it, they can like find the see the tutorial that I based it off of. And I don't think we have time to get into the how this is set up, but this is in P5.js. And all of the details, like I said, are outlined in the coding challenge video that was created for Polar Illinois, which is linked here. And so most of my math was based off of that, and then I just changed like some of the colors, some of the variables to get a different aesthetic. And I have here there's like this slider that I created that changes the noise level. And so that the noise is controlling like how random these lines appear. So the higher the slider, the higher the level of noise. And then it seems like almost more like tie-dye. But then if I like slide it all the way to the left, which is I have it initialized to the value 2 for the noise level, then it's like not as it's not as jagged, but then if I slide it all the way to the right, it goes up to 10, which is a lot higher and looks a lot different.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is something that I had created after watching the Coding Train video, and I was able to open a PR to submit these changes. And so on GitHub, uh, the Coding Train, I like that they have this like Netlify integration. So when you do make changes, you can actually see a preview of like the website with your changes in there, which is something you should be able to see locally, but could help when people are reviewing and giving you feedback on your changes. And so the actual that I made was since I created two or submitted two different projects, I edited 4 files. So I created a new JSON file within the showcase directory for this specific example. And then there's a template for how the JSON should be structured. So you want to have a title for your project as well as a URL, which is where people will be directed when they click through. And then you want to have your name so people know who created it, and you can also link to your website so that if people want to like see other things that you've created and the date that it was submitted, as well as a screenshot so you can see the preview that we were looking at before without having to, so people don't have to click through to get a gist of what they're maybe looking at. And then the same thing for this second contribution. In terms of JSON, just updating the JSON values into the different image and uploading that secondary image. And then my changes were merged into the website, and like I showed you, you can see them on the website now. And there is also, if you don't want to go through like the whole GitHub flow, or if you're newer to GitHub, there are other ways you can contribute. So on any of these pages that has a challenge, you can click this submit to the showcase button, and they have a form which where you would automatically populate it based off of like which page you were on, but you can also change it to a different challenge. And you could submit like the title, the URL, the image, and all that other information via this form. And is this it? And then it has an integration so that when you fill out the form, it then has this choo choo bot that will then open up a
Cool.
pull request with your changes. So you can submit the form and have it open the pull request there. So that's the way someone can have their changes submitted without having to necessarily go through the Git workflow. But also some detailed instructions on the lower down on that contributing page where it shows you how you can contribute via GitHub. So it involves like forking the repository, finding the video that you're interested in. Um, if it doesn't already exist, you would have to create like that JSON file. It gives you the template. So yeah, everything is really like outlined here in terms of like how to create that contribution, and then you can also look at previous contributions that were merged in or PRs that are open to get a gist of like what that format looks like. Um, but I do find that these instructions have been pretty helpful for someone to go through like github.com interface and submit. And you can also use similar steps if you're using like the command line to make that contribution.
That documentation looks beautiful. I love it. Like
Yes,
it looks
yes,
very,
they
very
have done a great job.
explicit. That's awesome. So you can really start from zero. Like it's walking you through every single step. I love this. How long have you been contributing to the coding train now?
Um, so it maybe like last year or so, I guess is when I had started, or well, it's only February. Like at least like since the
That's true.
middle of last year. This website is not super old, so I know they had some things here that were like from 2 years ago. But I know I first contributed to the website when they were like in the process of switching over to this new stack. So they switched to using Gatsby before the website was built with something else. So I've been involved like around the time that this site launched, like a little while, like shortly before it launched. There were definitely people who put in a lot of work before. Like it was mostly built by the time I knew about it, but I was able to make some contributions before it like launched wider. And there's more information in the GitHub README if you are interested in contributing to uh, the like structure of the repo or specifically the content. They participated in Oktoberfest last year. Uh, and then they also have this chart where you can see some of the people who've contributed to it, where they use all contributors to highlight folks.
That's really cool. I love that. That is such a fun intersection, like fun art and math and everything else, like all in
Yes,
once.
math
That's
was
really,
fun.
really cool. That's really, really cool. So for people who might be interested in getting started with creative coding, this is an excellent resource, right? Any other advice?
Yeah.
Like what are the, and again, this is very new to me, so I'm excited. I'm getting to
Mhm.
learn. What other like popular tools or programming languages are used in creative coding? Like besides, obviously this is a great starting point, but is there anything else that you can suggest for folks who might be interested on,
Um,
you know,
let me
it's like a fun way to learn algorithms too. So it's
yes.
because it's all
So
math, like that's really
definitely.
cool.
Definitely. So there is the processing foundation. So they are it's like a open source software foundation. So they house processing, which is the Java based version of P5.js. I think that was like the original, which is why it's named processing. And then P5.js. There's also a Python version, Android, and one for Raspberry Pi. So those are options with processing, or yeah, under like the processing umbrella. But then there are also other ones, like I believe it's called Drawbot. It's like a Python-based creative coding language. There's some Rust-based languages or frameworks, which are the names are escaping me right now. And then you can always use CSS and vanilla JavaScript. There's SVG.js is a library that uses JavaScript. So I think programming languages I would think would have some type of creative coding framework, or maybe there would be something like if you know like Scala, then maybe you could use the Java based one. So just depending on what someone's interests are, I think there definitely are like a wide range of tools that people can use. And I like that. Yeah, you don't have to use a set tool to implement these concepts. These are things that can be implemented in whatever your preferred language is.
I love that. What's one uh project that you've seen that you're like, wow, this is so cool? Like besides your own, which we're all like, yeah, saving the coupons so we can go play with them
Um,
later. Like, is there something that stands out to you that you're like, this was really impressive?
Yeah, I think in general, I would say a lot of the stuff that I saw during January
Oh
gave me
yeah.
a lot of inspiration. So for January, those a lot of people shared their work on Twitter. So you could search the January tag on Twitter, but then there, what else? Um, Let me see if I can pull it up.
That is so cool. I honestly like I am not a creative person like that. So this like blows my mind. Anytime someone like has like such ingenuity to make these beautiful things with numbers and code is so impressive. Oh wow,
Yes.
look at that.
So
So just the
yeah, if you
hashtag. Yeah,
search
yeah, yeah.
yeah, if you search January, and then they also have like hashtags for every single day. So if there's like a specific prompt that you're interested in, you can look that up. And this creator, they do a lot of pen plotting. So uh, post videos if you can see like this robotic arm is uh, writing out the programs that they've created with code. And they also stream, I believe, usually in the French language. But the stuff that I've seen they post on Twitter is pretty cool. I actually have a pen plotter, and it's something that I want to get back into doing more. But yeah, I definitely found like a lot of inspiration just going through like January every day, even if I wasn't able to participate and that particular day, and seeing what people were up to. Yeah. Oh, I think there is one other thing that I thought was cool. Let me see if I can find it. Um,
Whenever you dust off that pen plotter, we have to come you have to come back and show us how that works. Because that is super cool. That is amazing.
oh, yes, definitely. Yeah, I definitely want to use it more this year. And then something else that I found that was cool during
Wow.
this is during January, which is this is related to creative coding because like there's like you can use like these mathematical formulas to generate different images. And so this the person who owns this website, they have like a list of all these different mathematical equations that create like specific structures. So I thought that that was something like super cool when I was getting into January. And yeah, there's just so many different things to explore on this site. So I definitely would recommend this if someone is interested in like finding out a little bit more about like math and how that can relate to different visuals. Um, yeah, I definitely would say that this is one of the cooler things that I took away from January, and I probably wouldn't have like found it without like going down the rabbit hole of okay, I need to figure out like how this math stuff works for this particular prompt.
I love it. Could you share that side from that last project? That was beautiful. That looked like just amazing. Amazing. If you don't mind
This
sharing
one,
the link, then I can share it. Yeah, I can share it with
yes.
um and what is the name of the creator? We can give him a shout out because that is just unbelievable.
Paul Bork.
Paul Bohr. Thank you so much. Okay,
Mhm,
fractals. This is like such an interesting field. And again, super new to me. Like I'm only familiar. I don't know if you heard, there's been someone that's done a few things for GitHub in the past, like a couple of creative partnerships for events and things. Tyler Hobbs. I don't know if it's the same type of thing. He
mhm.
does like generative art combined
Yeah,
with programming. But it's just absolutely fascinating how you can plug all those like artistic elements into one. It's like nerdy
definitely.
beauty. I don't know how else to describe it. I love it. I love it. It's amazing. Folks in the audience are asking for some of the links. Thank you, Carnegie, for being here. I just put Paul Burke's, I might be mispronouncing their name, website there, which is the one that Monica just shared. This is incredible. So if I want to get started and I want to learn, go to the coding train, right? I can go to
Yeah.
CodePen and do the search. If I'm already someone who's super familiar in this field and I want to contribute to the coding train, besides submitting samples of my work, is there a way to contribute to the
Mhm.
actual project itself like you have?
Yes. So they do have a guide in terms of um, how to contribute. From just looking at this, a lot of this I think is, well, actually, some of it is like about like adding. So not everything is automatically pulled in from YouTube, or
Oh,
like it may
okay.
be organized differently on YouTube. So there is an opportunity to like migrate some of the content from YouTube to this site. And so there's like a an open issue that has like some, a lot of the stuff has been migrated over, but there's some things that haven't been migrated over. Um,
This
so I'm
is
not sure if
great.
there's a specific example in here though. Um, but so yeah, that's like one of the things someone can do. They can add like new, more content to the website, which is more involved than just submitting a code example. And then they also have like different open issues that folks can potentially contribute to. Some of it, like I said, is about kind of just migrating some of the content over. Like there's some thumbnail images that are missing, so something that people can contribute is um, making sure that that stuff is backfilled. There's a PR or an issue open to add related challenges to like the track videos, so that could be an opportunity for someone to contribute to some of like the information architecture of uh, of the website. Um, so yeah, there's definitely a lot of different opportunities. I would say, depending on how comfortable someone is with Gatsby, React, or their willingness to learn something new.
This is very cool. And so, like, there is an issue, for example, I think it's the one that you mentioned. It might be the one on the screen. That's
Mhm.
is label. They're using labels for good first issues. So that'll be, like a good way to get started. And so I joined the Discord, right? There'll be a
Mhm.
Discord where I can, like, if it's my first time contributing, let me find the link to that Discord so that people who might be interested in supporting the coding train can
Sure.
go ahead and join. Yeah. And that will be probably a good way to, I guess, is there someone there that's kind of ushering the contributors? Like, or is it all community led? Like, is the people just helping out? Like, how do I get Monica to look at my
Mhm.
PR if I decide to do this, if I want to
If you
contribute?
if you tag me on Discord, then
Okay.
yeah, I would say definitely like there's folks in the Discord channel if you need help. Dan is like is involved in the project. He's also very busy, so I don't know how long it may take for someone to get assistance. But I have found like compared to like other projects that I've contributed to, I feel like my contributions were always like welcome and moved along quickly because I know like some projects that may get overwhelmed by a bunch of different contributors. Um, we were talking about like some non like just submitting example contributions. Some of the issues that I was able to contribute to that were because someone had opened an issue, I was able to create a PR to address the open issue. So that's like if you want to work on something that's a little bit more ad hoc. So someone had suggested that there should be a redirect. And so I was able to like update the redirect file to add it in since there was already like a pattern for how redirects are handled in this application. So I was able to work on that. And then something else that I noticed was like if you made changes to the all contributors file or the README file, then it's trying to rebuild the whole website, even though those files just like live on GitHub and they don't affect what's showing up on the website. So I did make a PR to say like if we're updating the README or the all contributors file to just ignore that. So that was something else that I contributed to. So I definitely think if you like look at the open issues or if there's anything like specific that you think could be improved, and like opening an issue and getting some like feedback from folks involved in the coding train about whether or not that's something that they are interested in, what it could may look like. I definitely feel like there's a good reception, like I said before.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for taking us through how we can contribute. I've shared some of the links in the chat. If anyone has any additional questions about the coding train or how to get started, definitely read the contribution guidelines and also join their Discord. It looks like they have like 12, 13,000 people on that Discord server. It's busy. And listen, you heard it here. Monica said you can add me. You can tag me on the Discord and Monica will give you an eye. So that's fantastic. Thank you so much. I have to ask, and I wonder if you've seen any impact of like all of the new there's the hot topic, right? Like all the generative art that's
Hmm.
powered by artificial intelligence. Have you like any opinions on that? Like for creatives, I wonder if it's because I know there is obviously a big controversy around like the rights of art and when you're creating these things that
Hmm.
are like so involved, and then now people are using generative artificial intelligence to do a lot of that. What's the buzz in the coding train? I know education is key, and it sounds like one of the objectives of the website is like to showcase the talent and give people a path to learn how to do these things. But what do you think?
Um, yeah, I don't. Is I think it's definitely like complicated because you don't want people to like artists to feel like their work is just like being fed into this algorithm and then spit out. Like I follow a lot of like more traditional artists as well, and I know the sentiment from more traditional artists has been very negative, especially like at the beginning. Like you would see like clearly this output, like you can figure out based off of the generated art, like what artist it was inspired by, and that artist put a lot of work and time into perfecting like their style and stuff. So I
Hmm.
definitely feel like that. I guess use my opinion. I think there are ways that people can use it, like responsibly. But I definitely think there's a lot of like unopened or unanswered questions that I have about how to use the like AI generated art responsibly. I definitely think there's also a lot of redundancy in terms
Mm.
of or maybe redundancy is not the word I was looking for, but I definitely feel like there's like a lot of art, generative art. You can tell that it's generated, which I think is like very strange feeling to look at. But there is like I know Dan Shipman. I haven't looked at it yet. I think I have to get like some type of or something. But he did
Mhm.
collaborate with Google. So there is like this AI experiment that Google has. If you want to learn creative coding from Dan Schiffman and you want to use it, like do it in a different format. So I definitely think there is a place for AI within like the coding trend or just creative coding in general. But like I said, I think from like an artistic standpoint, I do wonder about like some of like how do you like ethically use use the like power of AI so that people don't feel like their work is being like improperly used.
Yeah, that's definitely a super, super like loaded topic. I know there's a lot of efforts with like watermarking, like digital watermarks and different things that they're doing. And then like I think I can remember, I think it was a Google project also that has an initiative to add the watermarks like to where you can opt out as an artist if you don't want your
Mm-hmm.
art in this that is public to be indexed, similar to what I guess we do. For example, like if you don't want certain parts of what you contribute, then it's not public, then it's not included. But it's super interesting. And I'm with you. I think if you use it as a tool, and especially for folks who are learning, like it's nice to have the
Mm-hmm.
support of like inspiration. Giving attribution also is super, super important. So when you go to CodePen and you take Monica's beautiful, like the examples that you share with us, just, when you share it again, those beautiful purling noises that you're going to create, make sure you just give an attribution to Monica and say thank you. Inspired by. That's super key. Awesome. Okay, so how can we support the coding train other than with contributions, getting the word out? Is there a way? Do they? I was trying to see if they were on sponsors, but I don't think they have a GitHub sponsors as an organization enable.
Oh.
I don't know. I know. I'm sure. I mean, there are servers involved here.
Mhm.
There's money being spent. So how can we, if I'm
Oh, yes.
someone who's interested, how can we support it?
Yeah, so if you go to the footer of the Coding Train website, they have a few different options. So you can support them on YouTube by becoming a YouTube member. You can become a Patreon supporter or a GitHub sponsor. And they do send out rewards. So, like, I had gotten, I don't know if you can really see this, I got like this cool, like, Coding Train keychain. It looks like a ticket to like get on board and like some stickers. I had gotten for being involved within the community. And so they send out rewards to people who are active in the community or support them through like YouTube, Patreon, or GitHub.
That's awesome. Monica, thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. This is incredible. Is there anything else that you
Thank
want to
you.
leave us with before we do our raffle? Because time is flown. It's already 45 after the hour.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, I feel like I think I've shared everything I want to share for today. There's definitely I could keep going and going and going. Hopefully I can come back at some point and
Yes,
do a part
please.
two and we can dive into something more specifically. Like I know earlier I didn't get a chance to really go into like some of the math. But yeah, I'm definitely like super glad that we were able to do this today. And I hope that folks who are interested in creative coding will check out the coding train. There's the P5JS documentation. I definitely recommend kind of pairing that with some other resource, at least until you learn the basics. So yeah, that's all I had.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much, folks. Okay, so before we go into the raffle, and thank you everyone who signed up. Don't forget, please go back into Twitter, GitHub, drop a star on the Coding Trend site, follow Monica on Twitter. Monica, I'm looking for your handle here. I'm going to share it one more time. And then
Thank
if
you.
you do decide to contribute, or if this spark your imagination and creativity and you actually become a coding train contributor or you start investigating this, definitely do let us know. Because it's always awesome to see that, like we're having this conversation is actually impacting the way that people are learning. And it sounds like a really fun way to learn things that wouldn't
Yes.
be fun otherwise, unless you're a super awesome math nerd geek, which I love you if you are. That's awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much to everyone who is signed up for the raffle. I think I'm going to close it out and then share my screen so that we can pick a winner. If you didn't win, don't despair. It'll be okay. There will be other opportunities for you to win. But I think we're going to, as much as we can, start doing little stuff like this at the end of our broadcast so that you take away education and a fun piece of swag, hopefully. Hopefully. All right, let's take a look and see. All right. Congratulations to Gabriel Miko, or Michael. I'm
Nice.
sorry. I'm in killer pronunciation day today. It's Friday. The body knows it. So, but I am going to reach out to you on your email or looking up, that's your GitHub username. Congrats. You are the winner. But I think at the end, we all won today because we got to spend time with you, Monica, and learn about this awesome initiative.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. All right, folks, don't forget, please go ahead and give Monica a follow on Twitter. Use the hashtag Open Source Friday. Tag us on Twitter. Let us know if you enjoy the stream. Don't forget to go by if you can support the coding trend with your contributions or financially to keep these amazing initiatives happening. And congratulations again to Gabriel for being our winner. And thank you, Monica, for your time today. Super appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, folks. Well, I will see you on the next Open Source Friday. I think my colleague Kadesha is going to have another amazing maintainer and contributor next week. I will share on the chat who's going to be, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much, Monica. Any parting words? Anything you like to leave us with?
No, thank you. Happy Open Source Friday.
Happy Open Source Friday. Take the rest of the day off. It's okay. You can say Andrea said so. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Follow Monica on Twitter, and we'll catch you next time.